We're on. Okay, welcome everybody. This is Jeff Berger, and I am here in Cape Coral, Florida. I'm really excited that we have an awesome session tonight in regards to the science that is disrupting the health and wellness industry. Many of you know it's the microbiome. I've got three special guests, medical professionals. I'm really humbled that they're taking time from their very busy schedules to join us this evening and provide some really great value about the company that we are associated with. We're associated with Amare Global, which is the first holistic mental wellness company. And I want to welcome those of you who are out there because we've got all types of holistic practitioners. We've got physical trainers, we've got massage therapists, and gym owners, so forth and so on. So welcome, because this is going to be very, very informative, because the microbiome really applies to everybody. So my first guest is Dr. Shawn Talbott. He is the Chief Science Officer of Amare Global. And I'm going to read this because his credentials go on for 10 pages here, but I'm not going to read 10 pages. So as I said, he's the Chief Science Officer. He has a Ph.D. Doctor of Psychology, LDN. So I'm like, what is that? I did a Google search and it's like, I came up with Ludington Daily News. And I'm like, no, how about Lebanese Development Network? No. Oh, it's a licensed dietitian, licensed nutritionist. So he's a licensed dietitian, licensed nutritionist. He's a fellow of the American Institute of Stress. He's a fellow of the American College of Sports, and he is a fellow of the American College of Nutrition. He's got 20 years of research in the development of Amare product line. Is an athlete, has completed at the national and international level. And he's been featured on Dr. Oz, Men's Health, and the TED stage, as well as the White House. So welcome, Dr. Shawn. Just say a few words before I start diving into the questions.
Hey, thanks for having me on tonight, Jeff. I'm excited to answer any questions that I can for you tonight.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the first question I have for you, and people are wondering, so why Amare? What really drew you from your 20 years of experience? I know you've got an incredible reputation out in the fields of nutrition and science. What really precipitated you to be able to come over to Amare?
Yeah, well, a bunch of things, but I guess a little selfishly, I've been doing this kind of work for about the last 20 years. Not just nutritional biochemistry. That's what my PhD is in, but for the last 20 years, the kind of work that I've been doing nowadays is actually called nutritional psychology or nutritional psychiatry. The idea that we can change how somebody feels. We can change their mood, their energy patterns, their sleep patterns, their stress resilience, all of that kind of stuff. What we now call mental wellness. We can change all that kind of stuff with dietary interventions, with supplements, with better sleep quality, with helping them move and become more physically active. There's a lot of sort of lifestyle ways that we can help people feel better. And if you can do that, if you can get people to feel better, everything changes for them. Their physical health changes, their outlook changes on life, their goals change. And so the thing, having done that work for 20 years, when I got connected with HipTran, our CEO, and with Rich Higbee, our president of sales, and they said, we want to start a health company. And by the way, we want to start a health company around this whole idea of mental wellness. I was kind of like, are you joking with me? Like no one's ever done that before. No one's ever done a whole science-based company focused exclusively on mental wellness. And I mean, for someone like me, that's a dream come true to say, let's do mental wellness, but let's do it in a scientifically validated way. And I mean, for the last 3 years, I've been as happy as you can imagine. Right. That's exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that leads us into the next question here. What makes Amare so different from other health and wellness companies that are out there today in regards to our science and the other potential competition out there?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're actually a little bit lucky in that, that we're an early stage growth company, right? We started about 3 years ago. We took about a year to sort of get everything in place so that we could launch in a really robust way with good scientifically validated products, with a good infrastructure in terms of operations and quality control and back-end services to run the company and stuff like that. So that took about a year to go. We've been selling products now for about 2 years. But the fact that we started when we did, when the science around mental wellness and the science around the microbiome and the science around the gut-brain axis just happens to be changing in such a way that it's quite literally fundamentally changing everything that we think about in terms of how people feel, how people perform, how to improve health and wellness. I mean, it's all changing right before our eyes. And so as an agile company, we can look at that new science and we can grab onto it and say, aha, finally, it's to a point where we can actually use it and plug it into a product or a program or some sort of a system where people can get benefits from it, right? It's one thing for the science to change, but it's another thing for the science to be harnessable, if that's even a word, right?
Sure.
It's to a point where you can actually make use of it. And we're sitting right in that time in history, which is really, really unique. So, if we say we want to improve mental wellness, we look to see what the science says and what the cutting edge aspect of that research says. And that's what we build our products, around.
Awesome. So, we started, and you can elaborate a little bit more on the fact of, the people that are on here, because, right now we are developing humanitarian entrepreneurs who are passionate about health and wellness, but we're really starting to draw attention to the other holistic modalities that are out there through our our platform. And with that, as we said that we started out as a supplement company, but now we're evolving, and we're evolving from products to people, and then platforms. And our platforms are what's going to be really unique in this industry and in overall wellness, because we're doing a collaboration of other modalities as we teach in what's called the B3 body-brain biome. And it's all about, the supplementation, the right nutrition, the right exercise, and then the right stress management. And that stress management comes through in regards to yoga or, meditation or prayer or whatever. That is really what is setting us out even further ahead of any other company out there. Can you talk to, the viewers about that?
Yeah. So, for the last 2 years, we've been selling a wide range of supplements, right? We've got, I think in our product line, we've got 22 different supplements right now. And some of them are probiotic products. Some of them are prebiotics. Some of them are what we call phytobiotics, like phytonutrient plant extracts that can help improve mental wellness in certain ways. Some of them are vitamins and minerals and amino acids and omega-3s and the full sort of gamut. But that's only one slice of what is scientifically validated to help improve mental wellness, right? We also know that eating the right way, what I would call a mental wellness diet, sort of Mediterranean style diet, we know that can be more effective than Prozac or Zoloft or any of the sort of, antidepressant kinds of drugs. We know that physical activity, when it's done the right way, can be more effective than antidepressant or anti-anxiety drugs. We know that there's some really good research around yoga and meditation and mindfulness and breath work and some of those sort of, stress management modalities. There's just so many tools that are now finally being solidified by the science to say that these are effective. So why would we, as a mental wellness company, only do supplements or only do dietary plans or only do mindfulness or only do one slice of that? What we want to do is be able to offer up a whole menu to people and say, look, we can help you personalize this so that you can get the best experience for you. And for some people, it might be the supplements. For some people, it might be the exercise. You get where I'm going with this. But because for most people, it's going to be a combination of some of that. How can a supplement be integrated into a dietary regimen, to be integrated into a physical activity regimen, to be integrated into a sleep hygiene program, et cetera, so that what I follow and what Jeff follows and what everybody else follows is going to be slightly different based on where we are and where we want to go, what our goals are. And that might change over time as we get better and better. That combination of modalities might change and take us to a different place, and then change again and take us to a different place. So we're always having the opportunity to get better and better and better. And no one's ever even attempted to do that kind of thing before in our space of network marketing. So, we're, in a certain sense, we're pioneers in that way.
Category creators, indeed. Absolutely. So I'm going to throw in one more question here before I get to the next one. Talking to a number of people, whether they're customers or wellness partners, one of the common questions is, well, do I have to take these for the rest of my life? And, so I say, well, everything's a choice in life. And I share my experience about reversing my type 2 diabetes. And it's all about lifestyle change. There's so much that I've learned over the last 9 months in regards to lifestyle and how the microbiome plays an integral role in all of the diseases that are out there. And for me, I say to them, well, you know what? I've incorporated this as a lifestyle. And then I'll tell people, well, try it for 3 to 6 months, get your biosis into a really good, healthy state, and then try to maintain it, and then come back and, attack it with, the fundamentals or, mood or whatever to bring it back, because we've got other, issues in the environment. And if you go out to eat, you're probably going to get tainted food, so forth and so on. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, people ask me that a lot. They say, this sounds great. If I can take these products and I can feel better, am I going to have to stay on those products for the rest of my life so that I continue feeling better? And I try to flip it around a little bit and say, look, let's say you started exercising to get in better shape, and you went from a couch potato to being in better shape through exercise. You're not going to be in that better shape now and then look and say, well, am I going to have to keep exercising or to stay in this good shape? Or am I, if you stopped exercising, you're going to slowly go back to the couch potato status. It's the same thing for supplements. It's the same thing for eating right. It's the same thing for doing mindfulness and meditation and things like that. So, what I like people to kind of view the supplements as, for a lot of people, it can be the first step. It can be, if you just need something to help get you out of that quagmire of just feeling blah all the time, use the supplements, right? That's the easy button, right? All you have to do is take it, right? And it's going to help you in certain ways. And when you get to that better place, I guarantee you'll be more inclined to start eating that mental wellness diet. You'll be more inclined to be more physically active. You'll be more inclined to lower your stress and get better quality sleep and all that kind of stuff. And that has a positive snowball effect where you're just going to be getting better and better and better. And then you'll finally get to a point like where you are right now, Jeff, where you're going to be like, why would I go back to where I was before? I don't ever want to see that again.
Exactly.
And so, people will find that that's where they get to, and they want to stay in that better state.
Awesome. So we got one more question for you. For the listeners out there, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat box, because I don't see any questions, and you may not have any questions. That's okay too. But so in regards to Amare, I know you've been involved with a number of great companies. You've got a history there. And we're starting to develop a history here with Amare in a very, very unique space that we have. Where do you see Amare in the next just 3 to 5 years? Just look a little short term.
Yeah, even in just that sort of time horizon of just 3 to 5 years in the future, it's hard to imagine how what's happening right now in science is going to change the landscape of human health. Because, if you look back 3 to 5 years, we couldn't even be doing some of the things that we're doing today. We couldn't have done them 3 to 5 years ago because the science wasn't there yet.
Right.
3 to 5 years from now, there'll be things that we can't even fathom that are going to be available to us then. But the fact that we're here now doing these things that were not possible before,
yep.
I think speaks volumes to the fact of what we're going to be able to do in the future. So the microbiome, quite honestly, communicates with every single aspect of our bodies. It communicates with our brain, communicates with our heart, it communicates with all of our endocrine glands, our hormone system. So your microbiome can change what your immune system does. Your microbiome can change what genes in your body are turned on versus turned off. It's absolutely mind-boggling. We'll probably be to the point 5 years from now where everybody's going to be able to measure their own unique microbiome, and based on that, figure out what products you need, what programs you need, and be able to track that over time and use it for like really individually customized, personalized nutrition. We're right on the cusp of that now. We can do some of that kind of stuff in the laboratory,
right.
But to be able to mainstream that kind of thing, I think that's the kind of thing that we'll see in the future.
Awesome. Well, that's great. We're coming up on 20 minutes, so I don't see any questions here. I want you to stay on camera. All right. And Dr. Gianmichael, if you would mind, there we go. This is Dr. Gianmichael, and let me introduce this gentleman. All of my guests are really amazing. I'm really humbled, as I said earlier, but this is a gentleman who, and I'm going to read this stuff because I'm not memorizing it. So his background includes, he's a naturopath, he's a Ph.D. and he's a Master of Science. And he's actually a retired naturopath physician specializing in HIV medicine and mental health. And his background includes nearly 2 decades of research, product development, and treatment of patients with gut-brain issues, elevated cortisol levels, and sleep disorders. He currently serves as the executive director of the Mental Wellness Movement, a grassroots community in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Dr. Gianmichael. Share a little bit about you before I start asking you the questions.
I'm really happy to be here and so thrilled to, I'm hearing some feedback there. There we go. So thrilled to have the opportunity to listen to Dr. Talbott share his story. As you said it all, I'm a naturopathic physician, an ND and a PhD, and an overall health enthusiast for most of my adult life. So I think that intro is fine.
Awesome. That's great. And I see you're unpacked. You just moved and you've got things behind you, and things are coming together. That's awesome.
It's amazing what you can't see that's just below the level of the camera. I strategically placed all of those boxes so nobody can see them.
Awesome. Okay, so what was the deciding factor for you to incorporate Amare Global into your current business model?
Sure. Well, it was a process, really. The formulation and approach that the company takes were what got my attention. Having focused a significant amount of my years in research and product development on gut-brain rebalancing, this product had all but 2 of the ingredients that I was using out of this massive array of ingredients that I was mixing into my shake every morning, but with one difference. What I was buying was costing me $300 to make up a month's supply of that formula. And it was all whole foods, just like our products. It was certified organic, and Amare was able to bring a more synergistic, concentrated formula to the marketplace for less than half the price. So that got my attention. I knew that there had to be some brilliant minds behind this, and I'll tell you a quick story in a second about my discovery of just who some of those brilliant minds were. But there was one more thing that my approach didn't have that I always dreamed for most of my career of having, that Amare was doing, that Dr. Talbott talked about just a few minutes ago. You see, I created the world's first social network in 1991, about eight years or so before Facebook and MySpace were even thought about. And it was called My Free Office. And one of the reasons I did that was I had this vision, this dream, that professionals like doctors and wellness coaches and physical therapists could create their own communities and really support the whole person that they were working with, or treating, or seeing as a client. And we were about 10 years too early to the marketplace. People weren't ready for it. And you know, for the folks that are listening in, I hope that you didn't miss what Dr. Talbott said, because Amare is the first and only company to bring together the right people, the right products and platforms in a way that are going to make this idea of really treating the whole person, really working with the whole person. And to me, that's the formula for long-term growth and personal transformation. And so I was all about it. And then as I was packing to move a couple weeks ago, I knew that name, Shawn Talbott, rang a bell. But I figured it could have been from a convention or something like that. And as I was taking books off my shelf in my office and putting them into a box, I ran across the book, The Cortisol Connection, that was really one of the seminal works for me to really support a lot of the studies that I was doing. And the author of that book was none other than the brilliant Dr. Shawn Talbott. So that was the final piece of the puzzle. I was already using the product. I already got incredible results as somebody who lives with young onset Parkinson's, and knowing the caliber of person who's our chief science officer, that was all it took, and I was all in.
Awesome. That's great. So as a naturopath physician, you know, you've been working within the holistic homeopathic alternative product line for many, many years. And I know you've done a lot of research. And so what do you find, you know, you talked a little bit about the uniqueness of our product line, but go into a little bit more depth for those who are listening, because I know that we talked about this a little bit in regards to the gut-brain axis, but now we've introduced the mental heart, and we also have introduced our hemp GBX, which is the first, you know, hemp, pure spectrum hemp that really focuses on the endocannabinoid system, which correlates with or helps with the microbiome as well. And share a little bit about that. And, you know, especially that heart story that you told me about.
Sure. Well, there's a couple things in that direction, because this is such a huge you know, undertaking that we're bringing to the marketplace. You know, our products, first of all, are formulated, like I just said, by somebody that I highly respect, who's been focused on what I think of as the science of systemic integration, lowering cortisol levels, rebooting the axes between the gut and the heart and the brain. And recognizing that just as you would have with an equalizer, graphic equalizer that you use to control your stereo system, if you move one of those buttons, all of those buttons, you know, end up falling out of balance, and so you don't get a balanced sound. Well, your body works the same way. So by establishing a solid foundation for us with the GBX, with the gut-brain axis, the body's signaling molecules, those molecules that tell the undifferentiated or unprogrammed, if you will, stem cells where they need to go, what they need to do in order to address areas of imbalance in our bodies. You know, when you bolster that with preventative and restorative formulas that jumpstart and protect the cardiovascular system, and as you said, the products that address and help to feed the endocannabinoid system, then you're able to you know, bolster that at the other end with targeted solutions for people who suffer from chronic pain or sleep issues or chronic fatigue and depression. And then you're doing something that nobody else in the field is doing. You know, within a very short period of time, using the Heart Plus or the Mental Heart. I have a habit of naming products with make-believe names. But after taking the Mental Heart, literally for 3 weeks, I was able to reduce my reliance on blood pressure medication. I noticed that I was, and it wasn't just the cardiovascular part, but I wasn't winded. I've had three major heart attacks. I've had 3 heart surgeries. And it was getting very difficult for me between the Parkinson's and the cardiovascular to make the 3 flights of stairs into our old home. And we noticed as we were moving that I was hauling down boxes at a little bit quicker pace than the guys that we brought in to help us. And I wasn't getting winded. I wasn't out of breath. But I think it's important that we recognize right now what I'm saying when I tell that story is that it's about functional foods. It's about combining the right support, the right community and activity that allows us to transform people's lives. And I know that it sounds like we're saying that these products cure, everything from weight problems to my blood pressure to immune problems. And I want to be really clear that these products don't cure anything, but it just makes sense to me, and I think it will to you guys who are watching, that if you give the body the food that it needs on a daily basis in a synergistic form, a bioavailable form, so that it can absorb the nutrients and work on the specific systems that become out of balance, then your body is going to do the healing itself. Your body is going to do the course correction. And in this particular approach, we have product systems that work on body systems. And each of those body systems we know work together synergistically already. That's how we were created. So that's really probably the most powerful thing about our approach and about our products, is that it's what I call real traditional medicine, the original medicine, which was food.
Awesome. That's great. So you have, we've talked about my personal experience with regards to, severe stress, anxiety, depression, attempted suicide, and suicidal thoughts. And you have done a lot of research on this. And, not being an executive member of the Amare staff, what are you finding that makes this different from your medical background perspective that is not out there in the market today in regards to anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts? We talk about ADD, ADHD, dementia, Alzheimer's, so forth and so on.
Well, I think that the unique approach that we have of products and platforms and people really is the cornerstone of what makes this different. Because let's face it, we are in the throes of a mental health crisis in our country, and that mental health crisis is responsible for more than 70% of emergency room visits, for example. And so, someone might say, well, no, I heard that cardiovascular problems are the number one cause of emergency room visits. Well, what causes most cardiovascular issues is the patient presents with stress, anxiety, palpitations that result from that. Maybe that stress and anxiety results in them making bad food choices. So they're eating to self-medicate. Maybe they're drinking to self-medicate. Those, one imbalance in the body, and we call this, the mental health, component of real health. One imbalance can throw off your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system, your endocannabinoid system, your neurological system. And so in terms of the epidemic, the mental health epidemic in our country, it's really exciting to know that 5 years from now, as Dr. Talbott said, we could be at a place where folks are able to tell what their specific microbiome needs. What imbalances exist for them, and then begin to approach those. And I love what you and Dr. Talbott were saying when someone says, well, do I have to take this for the rest of my life? I want you to not just think about the exercise component, but think about your favorite food right now. And the reason it's your favorite food might be because of the taste. It might be because you know how good it is for you. It might be for all of the comfort and good feelings that you get. And those good feelings, by the way, are caused by serotonin, which you wouldn't have in proper amounts if your gut microbiome weren't in order. And so understand that this is a functional food. And the longer you take this, as Dr. Talbott said, you're going to start to see changes in your life. You're going to see your energy level better, your clarity and focus better, you're sleeping better. Everything else becomes better. And when that happens, I promise you, this is going to become people's favorite food. And to test that, I almost said my fiance, he's now my husband, has noticed the difference, not just in the medical systems that we can check through my lab work, but he's noticed the difference in my, when I'm driving at the level of aggravation that idiots on the road cause, and my response to them. He's noticed it when a crisis arises in our lives, in the calm that I'm able to handle that. And while we were in the middle of the move, somebody took my mentobiotics and they put the mentobiotics in a box so that the next day I couldn't find which box it was in, and there were 100 boxes in the kitchen. And so a friend of ours was helping us who doesn't live with us, who doesn't know me that well. And he said, "Did you find your nutrition product yet?" And I said, "Why? No, I haven't. I've been looking for it." And he says, "Well, I hope you find it by the end of the day because you're becoming a bitch." And by the end of the day, I found it, and I immediately took it, and it was like water to the guy in the desert. And as we were sitting down at dinner with everybody, thanking them for helping us, he said, "I could tell you found your products." So that's what this does for us, and that's why I'm so excited to be linking arms with people like yourself and Dr. Talbott and Dr. Gregg and so many of the wellness partners around the world, because we are truly 5 years from now going to be at a place that I don't think any of us can even imagine.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Great insight and great information. And Dr. Rachel, why don't you turn your video on, and I'll attest to, and Dr. Gianmichael, you stay on as well. I'm going to have all four of us on. As Dr. Rachel comes on, I'll be a testimonial because every month I order, different things, and I forgot to order like 2 months ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm out of product. And I'll tell you, I noticed a massive difference not being on my daily shake. So it definitely is a testimonial. So Dr. Rachel, grace us with your presence as Dr. Rachel comes on board. She is a doctor of pharmacy with 15 years experience, 10 years in the retail space. In the last 5 years, she's basically owned her own business focusing on gut health. Her passion is to help people feel better, live happier or healthier with more productive, energetic, and confident. I'm going to turn Deb off. We got to turn you off there. I want to bring on Dr. Rachel.
Yeah.
And Dr. Rachel, are you there?
I am.
Oh, you are. We can't see you. What's going on here? Let me see if I can turn you on. Let's do this. I'm going to turn you on, ask you to do video. Did you get the invite? There we go. So her passion is to help people feel better, live healthier, more productive, energetic, and confident lives through improved gut health. All right. And the direct result of improving overall health is reducing personal medical costs. And her mission is to educate and empower people from merely surviving to thriving with proper nutrition, fitness, mindset, and gut through cost-saving programs. So welcome, Dr. Rachel. Tell us a little bit about you, and then I'll jump into these questions.
Sure. So I've been a pharmacist for 15 years. I have my doctorate in pharmacy, got from Albany College of Pharmacy here in New York. And I worked in the retail setting for 10 years. And I left almost 6 years ago. I basically just said goodbye because I wasn't fulfilled by the job. I was seeing people come into me every month and they were sick more sick than they were the month before. So it just didn't fill my soul with what I always wanted to do. And I know I'm on this planet for so much more. And I've had a passion for gut health the last, let's call it 8 or 10 years, just because of my own struggles. And I didn't have the answers back then other than to just change what I was putting into my body as far as the foods go. So this was a perfect fit for me. I was looking for this. This was like the missing piece for me with my clients and with myself. So
awesome.
It made sense.
So great. That was the first question, is really what transitioned you from being a pharmacist into a holistic health coach focusing on gut brain health. And so share with us a little bit about just some of the aspects. You said that people were just coming in and getting sicker and sicker. Is that a combination of the pharmaceuticals that are out there, as well as the foods that we have been misled, I will say, to be, being driven to? And when I talk about driven to, it's all about the boxed foods that have chemicals in it to preserve it, the canned foods. We've got the corn and soy that's been injected with glyphosate, which has been patented as an antibiotic. That is in many of the foods out there, as well as food for our livestock that we're consuming.
Yeah, it's a combination. Definitely the medication piece is a huge piece of it. I always tell people, we don't walk around with a Prozac deficiency. We walk around with, nutrient deficiency. And it's not that we're underfed in this country, we're undernourished. So when I say that, I mean, we have people eating a lot of food, a lot of boxed food, a lot of processed food, but they're not getting a lot of the nutrition that their body needs. So all these deficiencies are causing other issues as far as, we know the gut-brain connection and how with all the, 70 to 90% of your immunity is in your gut. So if you're not feeding it appropriately, you're going to get sick. Hence, you're going to be on more pharmaceuticals, and just that's where do you break the cycle?
Right.
And it's just finding a way to do that. And it's the processed foods, it's the soy, it's the high fructose corn syrup, all the sugars they're putting in foods that are supposedly lower in fat or lower in calories. They got to find a way to make it palatable for you, right? So you actually want to eat it. And one way to keep you going back for more is because it has sugar in it, and we get addicted to sugar. So it's this cycle, and it's just being able to break that cycle at some point.
Awesome. And I find that true in dog food as well. We've actually started making our own food here with plants and organic, or I should say, not a grass-fed. What is it? Chicken is organic chicken.
Yep.
And, things like that. And we've been throwing on little mentobiotics, a little of the greens onto the food. And digestive is great, and mood is great. Her skin is cleaning up. So it's for humans and animals too. I wanted to plug that in there.
Yeah,
but
I too use it for my dogs.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. That's great.
Probiotics, the mentobiotics I've used the relief especially for my one dog who's older, and it's amazing. It's not just for humans. I love it. So
that's great. Yeah, we're kind of experimenting because our vet wanted to give her shots and stuff, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Want to stay away from that. So as a highly trained and educated pharmacist, understanding the science behind, chemicals and plants, now that you've been, really working with the Amare products, how do you find Amare products line to some of the other competitors out there like Metagenics or Green First Pro, or some of the other ones that you're, fairly familiar with?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things I absolutely love is the fact that all of our supplements are in capsule form. So there are no binders, there are no fillers. It is just what you need in that product. So thank you, Dr. Shawn, because that is so amazing because a lot of people have reactions to supplements because of the fillers, the colors that they're using. So we don't have any of that. If you need to open the capsule, obviously throw it in your shake with all the goodness that you get in the protein and all the other, superfood and the fiber that we have. So that's something that I am so excited about, is that we have the ability to have something so pure. And it's more, if your body's not struggling to digest, a chemical of any kind, whether it be a color, a filler. A lot of people are lactose intolerant, so that's a really commonly used filler. Your body can actually accept everything that you're giving to it. So it can work hard by digesting, absorbing, metabolizing, and using the actual ingredients that are in our products. And I have to tell you, I get happy just smelling the mood in the capsule. I'm like, and I love the pixie stick. So it's a combination of, I just enjoy the actual palatable aspect of both of those. And it's just, and then it just does its thing. It's amazing how quickly it works, and just, you continuously use it. I mean, I get that question all the time about, do I have to take this forever? I'm like, do you have to continue to eat every day? I mean, so it's like, but working out, like Dr. Shawn said, it's that same idea. It's like, we're always trying to improve ourselves each and every single day, and that never stops. So this is part of that continuum of
Right.
taking care of yourself. So
absolutely. Yeah. On a leadership call today, I said, I'd rather be a supplement addict than an opioid addict.
mm-hmm.
So it was kind of funny. But
Yeah.
In regards to, the cost of our products to some of these other ones that are out there, what are your thoughts on that?
The price is amazing. I mean, just like a case in point, I was putting an order in for a new customer last night, and she ordered 3 products, and it's like, oh, she gets a free product. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm emailing her, and you actually get a free product. She's like, what? So, and the protein is the quality is amazing, the taste is amazing, and the price is probably $10 to $20 cheaper than anything that's even, not that there's anything comparable to it, but the price points on everything are just incredible. And
Awesome.
It's just amazing. It's just the community, the people that are in this on any aspect, whether it's customers, whether it's they're starting their own business, to the corporate team, is just second to none. It's just, I'm so blessed to be a part of this. I
Awesome.
really feel it's a blessing.
Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. That's great. And so where do you know your holistic coaching practice is relatively new? I think you said it's just under 5 years, or just about approaching 5 years.
Almost, yeah. It's almost 6 actually.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been really focusing on that. And where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years now that you've found Amare and know what we have our hands on, and especially with your focus being gut health?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's like an answer to my prayers. But I just feel like I'm going to continue to spread the message, grow my team, and just, I want it to be something like a household name. I'm speaking, I always envision myself speaking in front of large groups of people that, there's so many people that feel hopeless and that there's no way to heal their body. And it's just I'm here to spread that message that yes, you can, and you have to heal your gut. Somebody comes to me to heal anything, I'm like, let's look at your gut. And they're like, really? And I'm like, it's there. It's that is the answer. And I've known that for so long, but I haven't had the key to unlock that door fully because I didn't have Amare, it's just that plain and simple. So
right.
It's such a passion of mine. And yeah, I just see myself just growing my business to people that are just as passionate about spreading health and, changing the world. So I'm excited. I really am.
Awesome. And I'm going to give you one more question here before we open it up to Q&A if any of the listeners here. So you were focusing on gut health for those past 6 years, but now you've been introduced to Amare, which is the first company that focuses on the gut and the brain How significant is that for you?
It's life-changing. You know, it's the gut, the brain, the heart, and I see so many people struggling, and they think it's all the brain, but I'm like, it's the gut is actually the driver with so many of these things, if not all of them. So it's changing that perspective on mental wellness. Like even today, I was listening to a podcast, and I didn't get angry because I'm on my Amare stuff, my supplements, but they were talking about this pastor that had the wife was on talking about her husband that had committed suicide a year and a half ago. And it was all about the brain. I'm like, oh my God, it's still, this message is still not out there enough, because it was a well-known podcast. Has a, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I just felt like I need to continue to spread the message because it's still not out there. And you know, sometimes when we get in our own little cocoon of, you know, our Amare team and our Amare people, we think, oh my God, everybody knows about this. Everyone knows, and no, they don't. I heard a statistic the other day that 8 out of 10 people suffer from some form of mental, and I don't even like to use mental illness anymore, but anxiety, depression, something like that. And only 1 out of 10 actually do something about it. So I'm like, we have a huge window. And I think it's just knowing that this is a game changer in the science industry in the next 10 years. And we have it now. So
awesome.
Yeah. So we need to get out there and be mental wellness warriors. So
all right, that's great. Well, thank you so much. Some really great information from all three of you, and I'm going to open up the lines here because we actually came right in on time here at it's just about 15 minutes to here, and for anybody who has a question for either of these esteemed colleagues here, and please turn your camera on and your microphone on, and feel free to ask a question or two if you have any. Please open up, and if you know, don't be shy. And you can, if you don't want to turn your camera on, you want to turn your phone on, then definitely turn your phone on and you know, ask a question. So go right ahead. Any takers?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Gina.
Oh, awesome. So my daughter also has been trying the products, but she also does Dr. Sebi's detox for personal reasons. And we just had one question about, I believe it was the yeast. Is that formula, that particular yeast is, I just needed to know where it was coming from.
Yeah, so that yeast extract, it's a very specialized yeast extract called Wellmune. So it's baker's yeast, brewer's yeast, right? But it's not yeast. There's no yeast in there. That Wellmune is just a little polysaccharide, a little sugar chain that's taken from the cell wall of the yeast. And the reason it's in there is because that can help prime the immune system. So it helps your immune system be normally regulated. So it's not too overactive and it's not too underactive. It's just right. It's sort of like the Goldilocks effect of immune system. We call it immune system priming, and Wellmune does that. So it helps your immune system. And the reason we want that is because that's one of the main ways that the axis portion of the gut-brain axis helps send the signals throughout the entire body. So if you have a properly primed immune system, you can send those signals more efficiently, and as a result of that, you feel better.
Perfect. And then also too, I know that for our pro and our pre and our prebiotics, there has to be a dairy form in there just to create the bifidus and so forth. That particular strains, is there different strains in there?
No, so in our Mentabiotics product and in our Kids Fundamentals product, right, uses the same 3 strains of bacteria. The reason we use those 3 strains is because one of them has been studied for stress, one's been studied for depression, excuse me, and one's been studied for anxiety. And it just so happens that each of those strains has to be grown in a growth medium that has a dairy component. So the finished product doesn't have any dairy, doesn't have any milk or anything like that. It's just that they're grown in that as their original growth medium.
Okay.
So, Gina, hold on one second. We got some noise in the background. I did unmute everybody. So if you've got noise in the background, just mute yourself, because some people have problems unmuting themselves.
Okay, yeah. So I also am on my journey of, I guess someone's talking, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who that person is. Sorry about that.
And smack them up just a little bit.
There we go. I think it was V20. Who? Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm also on my own journey, and I just found out that I had Bartonella, and I was down for a long, long time. And I'm working with my cellular and my microbiome, and I'm feeling much better. I caught an infection, although, in the past few days, so I've been down. It's very interesting how my body, whenever it gets an infection, my spine is compromised, my joints are compromised, and it's like no one ever told me that I had Bartonella until I saw a holistic doctor. And I was seeing my rheumatologist, and it's still, they don't pay attention to you. Like, they don't. And I now understand, and have known, I mean, my children were all holistic. You know, I did a homeopathy when they're babies and so forth. So I was very into the holistic forum. But when you're not well diagnosed in your journey, you're never going to get well, because you don't know what's happening.
Right.
And it's happening to so many people. And now that it's been 9 years that I've been down and up and down, I understand now. I understand what my body is. Okay, I knew right away I had an infection, because my literally, it hit my knees, hit my spine, it hit every joint in my body. It's so interesting what Bartonella does.
Yeah, and Gina, that's a great example, and maybe Dr. Gianmichael and Dr. Rachel want to comment on this too, because they both talked about this in their comments of, one thing, happens in the gut, but it affects everything else in your entire system. What you're describing as this infection is sending signals out through your whole body and having effects other places, right? The same exact thing is happening here. So people have to look at their gut first.
Right. So I've been on it now, I think 3 months now. I'm doing really well. And I mean, I had a backdrop, but I mean, I'm going to see those days where something happens and I just have to work forward. And I'm really grateful that I'm a huge activist on other areas of health with our children. And now that I'm feeling better, I mean, I just want to help others. And my daughter's the same way. She's such a stickler to her health and her eating habits and becoming vegan. And it's really nice to see my daughter be on that journey with me, So those were my main questions. Thank you,
Absolutely. Gina. Thanks, Gina. Jennifer, go ahead.
Dude, I think it's from
Jen, you there?
Oh, I am. Did I have a question?
Yeah. Did you have a question? I don't know. Do you?
I think we were just working on lighting, but that's been resolved.
Yeah, I think so. Turn your I'm going to turn your camera on. So come on.
It's been out all day.
There we go. Okay.
We're actually logged on in 2 locations. We're using my phone for audio because we were having difficulty hearing from
from the wall TV?
Yes.
Okay. They're at their gym, Naples Fitness Labs, down here in Florida. So,
are you able to turn Micah's camera on, Jeff?
Yeah, I can do that right now. Let's see, where is he? And I'm going to turn it on right now. So start video. So he should be able to turn it on. Did he get the invite? There he comes on. Okay, there we go. Oh, look at the audience over there. Nice. Hello, Naples. Any questions from the crew there?
And Jason Toledo is on the phone call as well.
Yeah, I saw Jason earlier. I talked to him. So do we have any questions from the Naples lab crew there?
Any questions? Nope.
I'm doing good.
We're good.
They're
Awesome.
doing good. You've answered all of them.
Wow. So you're ready to go servant leader, right, Jen?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else have questions out there? We're coming up onto the hour, and I know Dr. Shawn has his next webinar.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, Dr.
I
Gianmichael.
noticed that that Deb had a question there. She said, "How would she?" I don't know if she could get her phone on, but it says, "How would Rachel compare Metagenic Spectrum to one of your products?"
Metagenics, I heard a lot of.
There you go, Deb.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm back on now. Thank you.
So did you hear that, Dr. Rachel?
Yeah, I'd have to look. I don't know that exact product. I just know that with our probiotics, the Mentabiotics is specifically for anxiety. And then you get the broad spectrum with the actual probiotics. So I'd have to look at their exact makeup of their, was it Spectrum? Is that the one you're asking about?
Well, Spectrum is the one that we typically at our clinic give people when they've had a series of antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
So, if someone is coming in and they're in fairly deep stress in general with their gut issues, that we give it to them for that as well. And they have several products. They've got something that's very specific for TIs. Something is specific for sinuses. So they've got some very specifically oriented products. And I've looked at your products a little bit, enough to know that there seem to be some decent studies, not huge studies, but decent studies on them. And I'm not sure how they would differ in quality from what's offered by Metagenics. It's a line we've carried for years. Sure. And seems to have good research behind it. We have efficacious results with our patients. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was curious to know how those would compare. And also, there's not a product that they carry which is specifically saying, although I know that there's going to be connection, whatever you put into the gut has the ability to travel up and utilize the circuitry that goes up to the brain, the vagus nerve. So I don't know how it is a mental product that makes it different from just a general probiotic. So those are the questions that I would have.
So I think part of the answer to that too is that the way we're supporting that gut-brain connection, we are also supporting the immune system even more. So it's not just the probiotics that are serving our body in a way that is helping our gut and helping our immune system. We're also supporting it, that whole fundamental system that we have. That sync is actually helping the immune system. So it's helping the communication between the brain and the gut. So when you're keeping inflammation down in the gut, you're also improving the immune system. So that is a double bonus with that. And then our broad spectrum probiotic is another coverage. As far as I used to use Metagenics with my my clients and with myself, and I switched for many reasons. So I just feel very strongly about these products because you are supporting the gut-brain connection, that the way that you're taking it to that next level that you can't. So
okay,
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I hear the messaging, and I'm wondering what the agents for that are. Are they other probiotics that you're using that they're not? Other bacteria strains that you're using that they're not?
Yeah. Hey, Deb, maybe I can jump in here real quick, and then Jeff, I got to jump off to hop on this next webinar. Yep. But one of the places that we differ, Metagenics actually makes very, very good products for the healthcare practitioner channel. And one of the things that like sort of their product development philosophy is make the products kind of isolated isn't the right kind of word, but like so that you can, so a practitioner can say, we want this patient to have product A, B, C. We want this other patient to have product X, Y, Z. So like be able to sort of customize, at the clinic for that particular person. Whereas at Amare, what we're trying to do is hit a wider swath of the general wellness market. So our products are more sort of built-in systems, right? So, one product like a Fundamentals is going to address a wider range of symptoms versus, this symptom that can be mixed and matched in a metagenics model, right? So not that one is better than the other, they're just sort of different approaches. But to your other point about how are probiotics different, one concept that's really important to understand is the idea of strain specificity, meaning that one strain of bacteria will do one benefit and another strain will do a completely different benefit. So when we talk about probiotics in general, there's one strain that's going to help with stress. There's a completely different strain that's going to help with anxiety, a completely different strain that's going to help with depression, a completely different strain that's going to help with immune system vigilance, another one for inflammation, another one for traveler's diarrhea, another one for constipation. So that idea of what strains you're choosing, we chose 3 for mentobiotics because they're all mental wellness strains. But then in our probiotic product, we have 5 other strains that help with things like immune system and mineral absorption and gut inflammation and stuff like that. So the probiotic world is very much leaning now, and the science is telling us this, towards that idea of strain specificity. So I'd love to stay longer, you guys, but
awesome.
I'm late for my next show, so I got to jump off.
Thanks,
this was
Dr.
awesome.
Shawn.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Dr. Shawn.
Bye-bye.
And for those that are listening, Dr. Shawn has deep dives into the product line, and if you're interested in that, you, just let me know. Let those of you who have been invited by Dr. Rachel or Dr. Gianmichael or myself reach out to them. They will be able to direct you to where he does deep dives on each of the products that we have. If you're interested in that, we also have what's called technical data sheets, which is the science and the clinical study results from the testing that we do or Amare does. Well, Amare doesn't do the testing; it's a third party that does the testing and provides those results to Amare in regards to that testing. So, any other questions out there for those who are on board?
I think I just had something to add.
Sure.
As far as it's always important too when giving a probiotic that you're giving ample prebiotics along with it. Because if you're not feeding the good bacteria, that will just die off as well. So that's another thing. So yeah.
Yeah, Deb is she and her husband is an acupuncturist, and Deb is very well into the holistic nutrition. She knows her stuff, and she runs a tight ship over there. They've got a great practice in Fort Myers, and she's actually the vice president of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce in Fort Myers, and I'm the vice president for Cape Coral. So that's how we know each other. So
awesome.
thanks,
Thank
Deb.
you, everybody. And thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, thanks for putting this on. Thanks.
Absolutely. Anybody else out there have any questions?
No, just to also, anybody starting to try the products, that everybody's body is different. I almost gave up in 30 days. My husband was amazing in, like, I would say a week. He was absorbing them. I did not absorb them till about 6 weeks, and I'm not kidding you. And something told me, don't give up. You're going to feel better. And sure enough, I started feeling better, and I was grateful that I stuck to it, and I just was dedicated. And I'm super dedicated. When you're sick, you don't want to be sick. You want to be well. So anybody who's starting it off, just everybody's different. You can't tell them, oh, you're going to feel great in 2 days. No, you may feel great in 2 days, or you may feel great in a month. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Great point, Gina, because it was about 4 to 5 months before I started really feeling anything, because I had, almost 60 pounds of weight on me that I had to get off. And,
right.
It was a tug of war. So depending on what your state is at the time you start these products, some people feel it in a couple of weeks and some won't feel it for months. So very good point. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Awesome. Anybody else out there? Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much. Reach out to those who invited you. Thank you all. Thank you, Deb, for your questions. Thank you for joining. and wishing everybody, I will be, this is a recording. I will be converting it to a YouTube, and we'll be sending it out to those of you who attended, and those who couldn't attend but wanted to attend. I'll be sending it out to them as well. Okay?
Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Have an awesome evening.